This is Full-Time Devils, and it's time for another huge debate today. A debate so big, it makes Steve Bruce look like he's been on Atkins. A debate so big that we could only actually fit two contributors in it. I've got Mac and I've got Sweeney in with us. The two Adams are here today, and we're here to talk about Manchester United's midfield next season. Who is José Mourinho going to be starting in his midfield next year? Let's start by talking about his actual setup. How do Mourinho teams play with their midfield? Adam, McKola, we will start with you. How do you think United's midfield will play next year?
I personally think it won't be very similar to what we've seen recently, but I think it will be more mobile, more energetic. It will be, it won't be as, what's the word I'm looking for? It won't be as pedestrian. It won't be a passerby in the game. It will be involved. But then when you think about it, when you think about the midfielders that we have at the club at our disposal, and then you think about the midfielders that José Mourinho has brought into clubs in the past, or he's built successful winning teams on, our midfield doesn't strike me as a midfield that is a José Mourinho midfield. You look at the players we have: Michael Carrick signed a new deal. Morgan Schneiderlin's been here for a year. Ander Herrera, I think he'll be used as further forward up the pitch by Jose, so I don't think he'll be used in a central midfield area. Then we've got Wayne Rooney, who wants to play there. Bastian Schweinsteiger, Fellaini, who can play there.
We are actually going to talk about current players at the club.
So we've got such a massive list of midfielders, and when you look at them, I don't look at any one, bar from someone that I'll speak about later that's already at the club, and think they are a José Mourinho midfielder. So when I hear links to N'Golo Kante, who is very similar in his style of play to Claude Makelele, I genuinely believe those links, because that's the way José Mourinho likes to play. He likes to have his strong, defensive-minded midfielder in there, like a Matic or a Makelele or a SEM, sitting there, destroying everything, and then having either one or two further forward from them who can, because people say he's defensive. He's had a Lampard in there who's scored countless goals. Now, interesting one for me will be what he does with Ander Herrera, because I think Oscar's a fantastic player, by the way, and I think he's a bit more talented than Ander Herrera. But I'd be interested to see Jose use him in the Oscar-like role of his midfield, because I do think he has similar attributes.
Sweeney, I hate to use this word, but what do you think the general philosophy of José Mourinho's midfield next year will be? Do you think it'll be an attacking one? Do you think he'll like loads of slight attacking players there? Or like Adam says there, do you think he'll really want that destroyer in the defensive midfield area?
Well, I think it depends on the game for me, because if you look at his teams in the past, he starts or sets up in very much the same way with all of them. It's kind of like, let's talk formations a little bit. It's always 4-2-3-1. Kind of when you're in a defensive mode, and then 4-1-4-1 when you're not. He always plays with that front man, and then has like a five midfield, and I think that's not going to change. And I disagree with Mac a little bit about some of the players that he uses, and some of the players that United have at the club, because if you look at kind of Real Madrid, if you look at Inter, you look at Chelsea as well, he's always had, Mac Spon, he's always had a Makelele type player, the Makelele role, but I don't think that has to be somebody. And actually, the Makelele role has never been a role where you have to be particularly aggressive. You're someone who's actually very, very calm, very composed. And I think Michael Carrick being here for another year kind of sums that up a little bit. He's someone who slows the play down. It needs to be slowed down, reads the play, doesn't have to do what a Kante does, which is run around and kind of be almost a fly and be everywhere on the pitch. It's someone who screens, someone who's comfortable where they are, reads the play really well, and intercepts when they need to, and then breaks when they need to. But he always has that player at the back in the almost the two of midfield who likes to push forward. A Lampard, for example, a Ballack, an Oscar, and I think we've got players in the side that can fit into those positions. So I think in terms of a formation, I think it's going to be the same as we've seen before. You're going to have four at the back, a two, then a three with kind of two wider players, and then your number one up top with like a number 10 just behind. And I don't think that's going to change. It's just then a case of who fits into those positions.
So we've mentioned current players at Man United. I've got a list of a few right here now. I'm going to see if I can do all these in one breath. DJ Buffon, Michael Carrick, Fellaini, Sean Goss, Ethan Hamilton, Josh Harrop, Ander Herrera. I know I've already took a breath, haven't I? Oh well, I'm going to carry on doing it anyway. Jesse Lingard, Pereira, Schneidlin, Schweinsteiger, James Ware, and also Wayne Rooney and Eric Bailey, who could both potentially play in midfield next season. Out of them players, how many do you think are going to have an actual key role at Man United? And especially some of those youngsters that are listed off there. Do you think that they could get debuts next year under José Mourinho? Go on, Adam, McKola, go on.
I think Timothy Fosu-Mensah can. I know that's not a debut for him, but I think he'll be that guy for José Mourinho. I've just got this feeling. But touching on what Adam referred to earlier about Michael Carrick, I don't get the feeling Michael Carrick will start every game. So I don't know if Jose will want to build his midfield relying on Michael Carrick. And when Michael Carrick signed his contract, I personally thought that he'd be used when we need to see games out, play every now and then, kind of like what we did with Rio Ferdinand towards the latter stages of his career. But yeah, do I think any of those youngsters will get a chance in midfield? No. I think midfield's a vital area of the pitch for Jose Mourinho, and whether we play a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, whatever it is, he'll want to have that solid built, and that's the spine of his team. As we mentioned before, your Lampard, your Essien, your Matic, your Fabregases, he loves to have a good midfield. So I don't think that. Does anyone think he can turn Morgan Schneidlin into that guy?
That's the thing that I was literally just about to ask, because you listed Kante, you spoke about Kante and you mentioned Matic there, and can you not see Schneidlin sort of developing into that role?
Rumors though, right?
Yeah.
So if you believe he's after these players, then when you look at the players we have, they're not those kind of players. But Morgan Schneidlin, I think, is someone that he could turn it in a similar way that Adam said. It's not a player that, it doesn't have to be a destroyer like Essien or Makelele. It can be a different kind of player. Then Morgan Schneidlin could be that guy, I think. Look at
Alonso at Real Madrid. I know it's a bigger club. I know it's a different league. But that was his Makelele, someone who just sits, picks off passes and screens. He's not a destroyer. He never really had a destroyer at Real Madrid. So I do
think he'll play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3.
I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1 when in defence, because he always has that one player that stays there. So we'll say Carrick, for example. It might not be Carrick, could be Schneidlin, but he always has that one player that stays, an Alonso, a Makelele, a Matic. And then there's always that one player alongside them that likes to push on. So your Lampard, your Ballack. And I think that's for me where Herrera fits in.
I was about to say Herrera alongside Schneidlin would work well, wouldn't it?
I kind of thought in the number 10 position where Oscar used to play. Because you remember...
but does Oscar drops back as well, doesn't he? Oscar's that kind of same type of player. He's almost a box-to-box midfielder. He's not really a number 10. Fabregas almost played that number 10.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of names in there as well which have been rumoured to leave. I mean, Juan Mata being a huge one. You think that if he's going to play a 4-2-3-1, then maybe Mata would have a place in that number 10 role? Or do you think that he's going to favour Wayne Rooney as a number 10 rather than a centre mid, despite what he's done at the end of last season and what, I know he's only had one game, but what it looks like he's doing for England now?
I think Mata has to be number 10, doesn't he? Surely he can't
play him anywhere else.
If you look at the fact that Jose Mourinho let him go at Chelsea, he likes winger, because he never, the fullbacks are who bomb on, and you need wingers who will always be willing to drop back a little bit. And Juan Mata's just not that guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he's just not going to fit. He's not going to do what Louis van Gaal did and put him out wide on the right. He just won't do it. And I think for Mata, it's either number 10 or you don't play him at all. And I think if Mourinho decides he doesn't want to play him, then I question whether he should be there. He's not going to play all the time. But if he doesn't play number 10, I don't think he's going to get a game. Louis van Gaal shoehorned players in, and I don't think Jose Mourinho is going to do that.
I feel like it is going to be a 4-2-3-1 as well. I mean, that was the formation that he played at Chelsea when last time he won the league there a couple of seasons ago. So I think that, like you say, Adam, Sweeney, if Mata can't play the number 10, and if Mata's the number 10 is the only position that he can play, then I don't think Jose Mourinho would be too happy keeping a player like that.
Whereas what does that say for Wayne Rooney as well? Like you say,
Wayne Rooney can play it in deep, and he can play number 10 though if he needs to play there. In the sense that,
are we playing our strongest midfield if we play Wayne Rooney?
I think so, yeah. I do think so.
Like Adam said, then he won't shoehorn players in to just because. And now, whilst I believe Wayne Rooney can adapt to that midfield area, is he following the summer transfer window? Is he going to be, in our top 2? I don't think he will be. I think he has to play because the captain, which is, I don't know, it's that old problem again, isn't it? It's a good problem to have.
I think Wayne Rooney has to be, again, that's that kind of Ballack Lampard player. Otherwise, I don't think he's not disciplined enough for me. As good a player as he is and as clever a player as he is, he's not disciplined enough to stay and screen a back four. He's not that player.
He can't read the game.
No, well, I think he can read the game, but I don't think it's about reading the game. I think it's just he doesn't want to be there. I think if he's going to be anywhere, it's got to be coming from deep. Because I think as a number 10 now, I'm not sure that he's still a great player, he's still a great number 10. But I just don't know if he's able to link up play quite the same way in that number 10 position. I think he's good at running from deep, he's good at picking passes. So I think for me, he's got to be the one that is the box-to-box midfielder. Or again, a little bit like Juan Mata, he doesn't play. And I think that has to be the decision. The decision is, does Wayne Rooney play there? If the answer's no, then he doesn't play. Or he plays as the secondary number 10 or as an alternative striker, which I know he's the captain, he might not be. And he's still a, United, some would disagree, but a United legend for the amount of games that he's played, the goals he scored. But I don't think you can shoehorn anyone, including Wayne Rooney, into that side. You've got to play players in their positions. And for me, plays in midfield, it's box to box, nothing more.
I completely agree with Sweeney there, to be honest. Since we've only got 3 people here today, I'm going to come and give my opinion on it. I think that Wayne Rooney ended last season brilliantly in midfield. The start of last season, he was poor when he was up front and number 10, and it looks like he's actually adapting that game to his national team as well, so it's not just a fluke at Man United. Keep him box to box or in that deep centre midfield position, and I think he will play well. That's where he's got to play next season. Anyway, moving on from current players, let's talk about potential signings coming in that McKola did just mention there. There's quite a few that have been linked. Matic, Kante, Verratti, who I would absolutely love coming to United, and the one that seems a little bit unrealistic, a little bit out there, but he has been linked, so we've got to mention him, Paul Pogba. Can you see any of them happening? Do you think that any of them will happen? McKola.
I think Kante is a possibility, Now, I don't know, is it true about his release clause? I've heard he's got a release clause. I don't know if it's true.
No one knows what's true in the transfer market anymore, really, do they?
£22 million release clause. Now, if that's true, then it'd make the deal quite easy to do, wouldn't it? And I think that would be a very good signing as someone that you could just stick there and then think, all right, we've got him there, now let's sort out the rest. And you can kind of just rely on him to do a job because I think he's that kind of player. Paul Pogba, I can't see that one happening as much as we'd like it to happen. I think our interest is genuine. I really do think our interest is genuine, but I don't think we'll pull it off. I think as soon as we get close to getting him, Real Madrid or someone like that will just come in and snap him up. So I don't see Pogba happening. As you said, Verratti would be a great signing.
Love him. Love that player.
You see it happening though?
I could see that one happening, to be honest. Yeah, I think that any player playing in that league, there's always a potential that they could prefer the Premier League, no matter what team they're playing for.
Jose's brought a different, like when we link to a player now, you kind of think, that could happen because Jose Mourinho. So, as I said before, regardless of signings and whatnot, whatever signing is made, I don't want to see us knock Timothy Fosu-Mensah down the pecking order too much. Because not only do I believe he's a Jose Mourinho type player, I believe he's got the ability to succeed at Manchester United. So whatever signing's made, I don't have a personal choice because when you're thinking of Pogba, Verratti and all this, they're dream signings, but are they really going to happen? So I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'd love for Jose to sign Pogba. When realistically, we've got Europa League football to look forward to next season. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly,
we've got to kind of just take our time. Jose needs to build his team. Maybe, can you see him bringing in one and then thinking, all right, let's give the other lads a chance?
To be honest, this is the first time in ages, and can I just say this is genuinely the first time in ages where I'm actually relaxed about whoever he brings in, whoever we're linked to, whoever he sticks with. I feel like...
Baffled as well.
Yeah,
do you not think that actually, listen, we'd all prefer to be in the Champions League, so I'm not suggesting otherwise, but do you not think that actually the fact that Jose, as good as he is, as marketable as he is, as friendly as he is with, the best agent in the world, do you not think that actually in being in the Europa League might just help some of those younger players? You talk about Timothy Fosu-Mensah. I think Jose Mourinho is a tactician. To be honest, it's a myth that he doesn't bring through young players. Look at Zuma at Chelsea. There's a number of different examples, but he only brings them through if they're good enough. And exactly. I think the fact that he's not going to be able to bring in everybody, and it can't be a dream lineup, like he had the opportunity at Real Madrid. Look at Porto. Look at Inter. Look at some of the players that he used there. I mean, you talk about the likes of Pogba, but he wasn't that as good as he was. And he was a great player, but he wasn't that old when he was when Jose was at Inter Milan. So I think you have to start looking at this and thinking maybe there's an opportunity for some of the younger players, given that we can't make every marquee signing. We might make a few, but we can't bring them all in. So actually, I think that means there might be a balance to Mourinho. It has to be a balance of tactics and signings, and it can't just be one or the other. So I think that's a positive actually in a way. Albeit I'd prefer us being in the Champions League, but I think there's a little bit of a positive.
So players like Matic and Kante, it's kind of obvious if we were to sign them where they'd fit in. They'd obviously play holding midfield, defensive midfield. But players like Verratti and Pogba, where do you think they'd fit into a Mourinho system? Because we spoke before about the formation that he'd play. Personally, I think it will be a 4-2-3-1. But can you really see Verratti or Pogba playing as a holding defensive as a defensive midfielder, should I say?
They're not being bought for that reason.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
What are they being bought for then? Where would they play?
Well, you have one of your main defensive midfielders who doesn't shift, and then you have two others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One could be your Lamps, one could be your Fabregas, or whatever. Lampard, Fabregas, same role, but for me,
I think Pogba. If Pogba comes in, Wayne Rooney's not got a role in this side.
Yeah, that's definite.
That's what I'm thinking really, because it's an horrible word, isn't it? It's an horrible description of a position, really, defensive midfield, because it doesn't mean that they're actually defensive. But yeah, Wayne Rooney, if a player like Pogba comes in, that's where I'd imagine him to play. I can't imagine Pogba playing alongside Wayne Rooney as the two in midfield.
He has three midfielders in his side normally, and they vary obviously depending on the club, but he always has that defensive midfielder who doesn't move. He has a box-to-box midfielder, and he has a number 10 or there or thereabouts. And for me, Pogba's that box-to-box, and I think this is where you have to start trading off players. And I think if Pogba comes in, he fits straight into that role. Different players, but look at what Khedira did at Real Madrid. Different player. He's not a Pogba, but it was that role. It was that kind of he picks the ball up from deep, drives forward with it, and then pops it off left or right and almost joins in at number 10. But ultimately, he's a central midfielder, and I think that's what Pogba does. He can play the intricate passes, but he's not a number 10. He's a box-to-box. And I think if you bring him in, then, you could bring him and a Matic in, for example, because Matic is your holding player, Pogba's your box-to-box. But if you then bring him in, Wayne Rooney's not got a role in that side. So I think that's where we can think about all these players. But Jose, I cannot see, listen, I might be proven wrong, but I cannot see Jose Mourinho not playing with a holding midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, and a number 10. So I think you've got to start putting players into those positions.
We're talking so much about Pogba, and it's a transfer which is never going to happen, is it?
Well, it could happen. The thing for me is, that's why I'm so baffled. When I keep thinking, right, we've got Schneiderlin or Carrick or whoever here, then we've got this. I keep getting to Wayne Rooney and thinking he has to start. And I'm thinking, but what if he brings in midfielders? That could potentially become a big issue for us over the season now. I am not criticising Wayne Rooney here. I want people to know this clearly. I'm not criticising Wayne Rooney here. If he plays in midfield, happy days, fair enough. He can do a role there. Whether he can do a role week in, week out against all sorts of opposition remains to be seen. He can do a role there. But if we sign an actual world-class central midfielder, and we've got a holding midfielder, and you're not going to play Wayne Rooney in number 10, then Wayne Rooney doesn't have a place in the team, and that could potentially become a problem for José Mourinho.
Right. You sorted? You ready? You happy?
It's difficult, man. It's really until we've got the players in that Jose wants. It's really difficult because we're being linked to some huge, stupid names. We've seen it all over the place. The names have been linked to 79 million for this lot, 80 million for Pogba. We got this, that, the other. And then you think about it, and then you think, no, realistically, Michael Carrick signed a new contract. Morgan Schneiderlin's still at the club. Marwan Fellaini is in the press talking about how he's had phone calls and texts with Jose Mourinho. Wayne Rooney is now a midfielder. We've got Fosu Mensah at the club. We've got Herrera. We've got so many central midfielders that we're going to have to sell at least 3 or 4.
There's a few going.
Just to bring in 2. And who are those 2 going to be? And then if we bring in 2 or 3, then I don't want to see Fosu Mensah drop down in the pecking order because I think...
Quick question for you. Oh,
man.
Daley Blind, centre-back.
Daley Blind!
Right, Daley... We're getting into a whole other debate if we start talking about Daley Blind now, so let's go on. Well, I'll tell you what, he can be your wild card then, because that's what I'm about to ask you now. Who in the current squad, or a potential transfer coming in, could be your wild card that no one's expecting to start for Manchester United in the midfield next season? McKola, who's yours?
Oh, I thought he was going to go to Ad because I've been talking a lot.
I love the sound of your voice. Who'd you say?
I'm not signing one.
You're not signing any? Who's it going to be then?
You want me to say Pogba? Yeah, of course. Pogba.
No, someone that no one's expecting. Someone who...
Of course, Verratti would be amazing. Do you want me to say Matic? Matic would be amazing. He's not going to leave Chelsea for United. Like, there's so many central midfielders out there. Wild card. Give me...
Who are you saying? Give me a name.
Modric. Give me Modric, I'll be happy.
No, you said Timothy Fosu Mensah before. I think that would class as a wild card because no one's
rated players in the world. I love that, man.
No one's expecting Timothy Fosu Mensah to start next season, so he can qualify as your wild card if you want him to be it.
Cheers, Gaz.
You having that? Nice one.
I'm prettier looking Am Robinson.
I thought you were going to say a prettier looking Sam then, and I was going to go home really happy about it, but no, you went with Anne Robinson. Sweeney, who is your wild card to be? Who is your wild card going to be?
Well, to be honest, I mean, we've spoken a lot about central midfielders, but I think one of the big areas for me that we missed last season was a right midfielder, and I don't think we've spoken about it enough. We're talking a lot about the central midfield, and we've got I say an unbelievable amount of talent. Talent's probably the wrong word. We've got a lot of players in central midfield, and we've got next to none out wide, particularly out on the right. And there's been a little bit of mention, but Mkhitaryan from Dortmund is a bit of a wild card for me because I think Martial. If you look at, I know I'm kind of going back to some of his old sides, but if you look at what Mourinho does, if you look at the Eto'os at Inter, if you look at the Robins at Chelsea, he likes to play with kind of wide forwards, and I think that's what he's going to do here. And I think Martial could really, nail his place down on that left-hand side, come in on his right, cause havoc. Seen that for France, seen that for United. And I think on that right, we've not got anyone of that quality. And I think someone like Mkhitaryan, 15 assists, I'm going to do a Dave on you now, but 15 assists and I think like 11 goals in the Bundesliga last year.
Yeah, but what is his pass percentage accuracy?
I love the way you've got me thinking about central midfielders. Then Sweeney goes and plucks a winger out the bag. Thanks, lads.
To be honest, I wouldn't have classed a winger. I wouldn't personally have classed a winger as a midfielder. I would class them as sort of a forward nowadays.
But the thing about Mourinho is they tuck in because then the fullbacks bomb on. So the way that he plays very narrow. So I think for me we need someone on that right hand side of midfield, and I think we've not got anybody at the moment. Lingard, that farce on the bus highlighted. I mean his finished end product was awful last season. He was good actually. I thought he was good last season. He wasn't great. He was good. And then I saw that fast on the bus, and my opinion of him lowered considerably. And I think we need a right midfielder. Martial's nailing it on the left. We've not.
Give over, Sweeney. Give over. One little video on a bus has made you dislike him all of a sudden.
The biggest game of the season, right? Potential Champions League football. It's in our hands. We then play Bournemouth on a Tuesday after a bomb scare to potentially finish fourth and be in the Champions League with the greatest manager in the Premier League at this moment in time. And he's taking videos on a bus looking like a knob. Yes.
What about Jesse Lingard?
Shut up, mate. Shut up, Sweeney.
The winner in the final after that. Can we excuse him?
Yeah.
He's a kid.
Biggest game of the season at that moment in time. He's a kid. He's the same age as me, Mac. He's not a kid.
You shut up. stupid shit now.
Shut up. Right, both of you, I want your final midfield lineup. Who you're going to play, who you think Jose Mourinho will be playing in the midfield next season. Who do you think will be starting in it? And I'm going to decide which one is best between the both of you. But I'm going to do this sort of half thinking which I think is the actual best midfield and half thinking which I think could actually happen, which is the most realistic. Let's start with Sweeney. Sweeney, who's your midfield for next season?
I think he's going to struggle to bring people in, to be honest, of the names we're talking. So I think I'm going to... I do. I think he's going to struggle.
Well, that's a waste of a debate then, isn't it?
No, hold on. No, I think he's going to... I'm not saying he can't, but at this moment in time, I would like to see Schneidlin or Carrick. Okay. So interlinking, very similar to the side I would have liked to see last season, even though Van Gaal's style of play was awful, is Schneidlin or Carrick as that defensive midfielder. So we'll say Carrick just because I think Schneidlin's probably the longer term option, but at the moment Carrick could get the start. I think Wayne Rooney is the box to box midfielder.
Okay.
I would like to see Juan Mata at number 10. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'd love to see him there. So that's where I'd like to see. Out on the left, Martial. Out on the right, Mkhitaryan. That's my 5.
Ooh, that's quite tasty, actually. Adam, McKola, what about you?
My midfield is Timothy Fosu-Mensah, Paul Pogba, and Andres Iniesta.
Iniesta, where are you playing him? Number 10?
Yeah, well, yeah, just give him a free role, you know. You didn't say you could sign in.
Can I take out Juan Mata and put Pele in, please?
Yeah. He's shitting, mate.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give it to Sweeney. I tell you what, Pele is the type of guy.
Serious one, Gaz.
Go on.
All right. I do think Wayne Rooney will be the box-to-box Lampard kind of guy. I want the midfield to be built on Timothy Fosu-Mensah. I believe he's got the shoulders to build it on him. But N'Golo Kante at 22 million is a snip if that's his release clause. So let's go Kante, Rooney.
And who's your number 10?
Pereira, or Mata in the number 10.
Give me one of them. Who you think will actually play the number 10?
Pereira. He's not going to play that many youth players.
That absolute nonsense, McKola. Sweeney wins for me, and unfortunately Pele doesn't get in either of your teams, which is good because he's an absolute fraud and the type of guy who would walk down the street, flick his chewing gum into a bin, and it would get classed as a goal on Wikipedia. That's right, I'm finishing the debate on a huge controversial statement like that. This has been the Full-Time Devils huge debate. Today we've been talking about Jose Mourinho's midfield. Get in your comments below. Tell me about who you think is going to play in Jose Mourinho's midfield next year for Man United, who you think we could bring in, and who you want to see us keep. Get your comments in, give us a like, give us a subscribe. See you next time. Laters.
Hello everybody, this is Stephen House and this is Full-Time Devils. You've got me on a chair outside Old Trafford in the rain talking about transfers. Deal with it.